Pitiful, is it not, Void? A rumbling growl echoed from up top a large black rock. Void, a slim and sickly-looking male canine, had been watching from the shadows, preferably where he would rather be. It almost seemed like he was the shadow itself, his form obscured. Ashes fell around him, and the sky was dark with smoke clouds and alight with red embers. The ground around them seemed to be in a constant quake. "Very," Void replied, his response but a mere echo. He glanced at his master, Mars, a very powerful god and ruler of all. He is to be respected and worshipped, as he is a god, one that can and will take what he deserves. For years he had been unable to use his own powers, banished by his sister. But now, with Eris's powers weakening, so was her hold on his banishment. Slowly but surely, Mars had been gathering an army, ready to claim Aurora and destroy Eris once and for all. But for now, he was interested in one being in particular, a key role in his plan. The clear blue pool in front of them had been showing a deathly-looking female wolf, laying on her deathbed, alone. Mars had watched the events of the world take place, plotting to his advantage how he could get his revenge. As he watched, this one she-wolf had gathered his attention, specifically the amount of hate and ill will she carried. He noted that she intended violence toward every being she had encountered. She fought for so long, but was now ready to give up. "Not yet. I will use you," he thought to himself evilly. "Well then, what do you suppose we should do?" Mars questioned his servant, an eerily playful tone hidden in his voice. "Feed her," Void replied simply, knowing all too well where his master was going with this. Mars knew he meant more than simply food, but for now, it was a start. He gathered his attention back onto the vision and simply touched the pool of clear, hot water with the tip of his tail. It began sizzling and then bubbling until eventually it cooled down, revealing the wolf tearing into the hair viciously. With this newfound gift, Mars would manipulate her into another of his army, his servant, to fulfill his wish. "Find her, Void, and bring her to me," Mars ordered. Void simply nodded, and then stepped forward. Dense shadows formed around and engulfed him, and with a blink of an eye, he had disappeared as if the wind had blown him away. Only Mars remained, left behind. As though he was growing stronger, he was unable to leave his prison. Left alone, Mars was unable to control his dark thoughts and fiery anger from manifesting. He lay paw on the nearest ember on the ground and crushed it with ease as he looked back at the pool and the rabid female. A shadow loomed over his expression. "Soon I'll take back what is mine and make you suffer just as you have made me." Pain. That's all Q felt. Her paws throbbed, her legs were sore, her stomach ached, and her mind was weary and worn. She lay sprawled on the forest floor, shadows looming around her almost threateningly. All she could think of was embracing the sweet embrace of death she felt was sure soon to come. She had given up. As she lay there, she closed her eyes and waited. An unusually warm wind combed through her matted fur, and a serene feeling swept over her as she felt herself slip in and out of consciousness, her body fighting her weakened will. Hours had passed since she first moved, and finally, her body had recovered just enough. As Q regained full consciousness, her eyes slowly fluttered open, adjusting to the dimming light around her. It was almost evening now, the sun setting in the horizon, causing the shadows to dance as the wind blew them around. Kyo watched them for a minute before bringing herself up onto her hind quarters, frail but still able. She frowned in disbelief that she was, indeed, still alive. Surely she felt she should have starved by now. A movement ahead caught her attention, and without thinking, Kyo leaped, claws outstretched. As they made contact, Kyo could hear a loud pain squeal, and warm blood seeping through her saber-sharp claws. Kyo blinked, confused about what had just happened. In front of her eyes lay the body of a fat hare, whose life faded away quickly, becoming limp. Kyo stared, shocked. Her mouth gaped open, and she let out a small "ha" in disbelief. An immense amount of energy had rushed through her, causing her to react almost instantaneously, as if she had become possessed. With the sight of food before her, fresh and healthy, Kyo broke. It had been days since she had food, and she was nearly dead. So the fact she had managed this, Q began laughing maniacally, like she had gone insane. For a few minutes, she felt the irony of the situation was so humorous that she could not calm down to finally eat. Once she had managed to calm down, she snatched the hare up immediately and ate messily. If one was to see her in the act, they would deem her insane. Warm blood splattered as Q tore each limb from the hare, consuming the meat in seconds. After she finished, she made sure not to waste the bones, chewing on them until they splintered. For hours, Q made sure to savor the sudden meal, as she never knew when her next could be. Finally satisfied with herself, her stomach the fullest it's been in days, Q let herself relax and began cleaning herself. A small stream nearby bubbled, and Q padded toward it. The stream was very small, just some excess water running through a muddy path, woven over the years. Kyo imagined some time far in the future that perhaps it would be a wide, raging river one day. The thought sent a sudden shiver through Kyo, and she forced herself to lean down and gather a drink. She really did not like water, rivers, or bigger bodies of water in particular. As she finished drinking, Kyo let out a sigh of satisfaction. She felt much better than being on the verge of deathbed like she had been earlier. But what was up with that sudden energy boost? She questioned herself. It just came out of nowhere, like some sort of miracle. She found it quite odd. It may not have been much of a day, but it was definitely an eventful one. Kyo looked up once more to catch the last bit of the sun before it disappeared over the horizon, and then glanced about her surroundings. She was still in unfamiliar territory, so even though she felt better, she was still weak. With that being said, it was unsafe for her to linger. From her own experience, she knew better. Looking around, she gathered her senses and readied herself to set off. For a second, she hesitated, unsure of where or which way to even go. Then, nodding to herself, she began padding toward a rocky path leading upward. The further along she went, the more sparse the trees became. Kyo nodded to herself approvingly, feeling rather comfortable to be up higher on this mountain. With height comes more vantage points. So I'll be able to see even better up here as soon as morning comes, she told herself confidently. The further she climbed, the more she could feel her energy dissipate, until finally she found herself climbing no more. Slumping on a thick bed of moss and bramble, Kyo laid her head down, gazing into the night sky. The moon was full, and an intense aurora seemed to shine this night, bands of neon greens, pinks, and red dancing among the sky. Perhaps there still is some beauty to this unforgivable world, Kyo husked, her voice dry and cracked, and as she stared, she slowly drifted into a peaceful sleep for the first night in moons. On a ledge overhanging the small clearing that Kyo had slumped on, Void sat, his shadowy form silhouetted by the intense light of the moon. In the space where his eyes would be, lay hollow sockets of darkness. He had been tailing Kyo since she had first left the forest, where she was gifted a hair by his master. Void had gone unnoticed, of course, as he was a master of stealth. Cocking his head to the side, he observed the skinny female below him. He saw nothing of particular interest in this mortal being. However, if Mars truly believes in her worth to his cause, then so will he. With this thought in mind, he had begun to slither his way down the rocks toward her, but halted in his tracks. As the female slept, her body glowed a faint, eerie green. Voices whispered in the air around her, soothing and warm. Void growled lowly. This she-wolf would be more of a problem than he thought. The aura around her could only mean one thing. She carried the power of divinity. Slowly, he paced farther forward, tensing. Even as she slept, her power grew more intense, as if she was aware of him. Without being conscious, he was there. The green glow around her grew brighter the closer he got, eventually causing Void to back away in pain. "You have to be glowing out of anything else," he growled to himself, annoyed. As a body of darkness and shadow, light was one thing that could harm Void. The more light around him, the weaker he becomes. Typically why Void chooses to travel or do his master's deed only at night. Void hissed as his continued attempts to reach the female were faltered by her unknown ability, until eventually he slank back into the shadows, defeated. He was determined to bring his master's message, but he needed to find another way. Whatever divinity she had was neutralizing his own. For now, he would wait and observe. If he couldn't capture her, he'd wait until something else could do it for him.